Hello, and welcome back to Financially Speaking. My name's Logan Waller, an advisor at Bushka Wealth Management and Bushka Retirement Solutions. If you'd like more information as we go through our show here today, feel free to give us a call at 715-355-4445, or you can reach us on our website, retirewithbushka.com. And while you're out there, you can navigate over to our radio page to check out our past shows and to subscribe to our program on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon Music. Well, I'm really excited to talk about today's topic today because I think it's going to be a topic that resonates with a lot of retirees. And really, what we're going to cover here today is struggling with the decision of when to retire and to collect Social Security. A lot of people struggle with this simply because you can wait till full retirement age at age 67 now, or retire early at 62, or even delay it all the way till 70. So
Wow.
there's different considerations to go through all that. But before we dive into all that, let me introduce my co-host here, who's no stranger to the show, Tony Shore. What's new here today?
Oh, I'll tell you what, Logan, great to see you once again. I enjoy doing the show with you. It seems like we've done a couple in the last couple of weeks, you and I,
Yes.
and it's been fun hanging out. I always enjoy that. And I had a great holiday season, spent some time with the family. How about you?
Yeah, about the same. This is usually work gets a little bit busy as we head into the end of the year, and then as we head into the new year. So it's just enjoying the time I have with family, eating all the good food and all that stuff. So
Oh,
nothing too crazy
so
right
good.
now.
Yeah, that's good. Well, that's good. Well, yeah, the holidays are a good time and a good time to reflect. But now that we're in a new year, people might be thinking about, oh, I'm going to retire this year, or I'm retiring next year. And if you're thinking about early retirement, which is really anything before 65 or 67, I would say, is
Right.
considered early these days. When we talk about retiring early, even though I think, and you'll talk about this, 62 is a pretty common age for people to retire, but a lot of people will probably want to wait until 65 until they're eligible for Medicare. We'll get into more of that. But first, I've been doing great. And I really, really think that you should probably tell us about your Christmas gift. Didn't you get, what did somebody give you for Christmas this year? Live chickens? Was that true? I heard you got live chickens. You can't have those in
Ah,
town, right, Logan?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know who's telling you those things,
That's not
but
true.
that's not true.
That's
Yeah,
not
I mean
true.
that would be actually I wouldn't mind that too much,
That's
but
not
yeah,
true.
not
What
true,
did you
not
get?
true.
Did you get, Christmas gifts for anybody in the office?
I
Do you
did
guys
not.
exchange gifts?
We do not. If the year's good, maybe we'll get a bonus or something like that. But
Oh,
it's
sure, sure, sure. I
that's
didn't know
the
if you
gift to
guys
me.
had, like, a secret Santa or, if you bought anything for Sue. If you haven't, just an FYI, you might wanna get a little something for Sue.
Oh yeah, I'll remember that
Give her
for
a late gift. Yeah.
next year. We did do a gingerbread building contest and all that. So the
Oh,
winner
you
did get a
did?
gift card there. So we did get to have some fun with that. I ended up eating more of my gingerbread house than actually putting it together. But
Oh,
it was just
no, you're not supposed to eat it.
yeah, I
Uh,
couldn't wait.
did you win the gingerbread house contest?
No, I
Who
didn't even
won?
get the didn't even get the roof on there.
Oh,
Um, I'm blanking on now. It's usually one of our marketing folks.
oh,
They have
sure.
an advantage. They
The
have an edge.
creatives. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
the creatives. You're a financial guy. You're helping you get creative with people's finances to help them, grow their, retirement investments, things like that, and
Tax strategies,
that's a
all of it.
good thing.
Yeah.
And with tax strategies, you come up with a lot of clever and creative strategies. But yeah, marketing people when it comes to building gingerbread houses, hey, that's what they're good at. I don't know how they're gonna use that skill in real life, but, I'm teasing.
Getting a gift
I'm
card.
Yeah, they got a gift card out of it, that's for sure. Alright, yeah, we did that too, but I was doing recording, so I was unable to participate. And, I there tomorrow we find out who won, and I think they get like a 50 or $100 gift card, so
Ooh,
to like Target or someplace like that, so that'll be
okay.
nice. That's nice. Yeah, that's
Not bad
that's
at
real
all.
money to you and I mean,
Yes.
right? So you mentioned a lot of people you can file early for
Hmm.
Social Security at 62.
Correct.
So that seems to be make that age a popular age to retire, correct?
Yeah, so most people are actually doing that. They're as soon as they can take their benefits, they're doing it right away at 62. However, one thing that should be recognized in that is by doing that and collecting it right away at 62, you can reduce your Social Security benefit by about 30% versus waiting
Yikes.
until full retirement age.
Yeah, and full retirement age for most people out there listening or viewing this, what is it?
So it's going to be age 67 right now if you were born in 1960 or later. If you were
Sure.
born prior to 1960, then it's going to be it can be different ranges of things, but 66 and 10 months or 66 and 8 months. So it's
Sure.
just below that age 67.
Sure. And when you said if you were born before a 1960, why did you look at me? Why did you make eye contact
You
with
saw
me when
that?
you said that? That I was born after my full retirement age is 67. Like I'm sure most people out there listening, their full retirement age is 67. And boy, you can really you can earn more. And when you file for Social Security, if you file early because you want to retire early, you're going to lock in a lower monthly benefit, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah, in
And
fact, the
it's set in
lowest,
stone.
and once you file, there's one redo option that's kinda tricky. I think it's within the first 12 months, you have to pay everything back and fill out forms but really, once you file, that's it. You're locked in, and that's
Locked
what
in.
you're gonna get. Now there are COLA increases, but
Of
that's only
course.
a percentage of that low amount you locked in, whereas if you waited, when the COLA increases by, say, 3%, it's gonna be 3% of a higher number. So the COLA is gonna be bigger. And all those things add up over your entire retirement. I mean, we're talking 20, 30 years for some people, right?
Yeah, especially with the advancements in health and technology, people are living longer. And
Yeah,
when Social Security originated, the life expectancy was lower, and that's why the age used to be age 65. But over decades and decades of time here, people are living longer, and that's why they changed that full retirement age back to 67 when they did that in 2019.
interesting. So why do you think I read that, like, it's a crazy amount, like over 85% of people file at 62 or it's some high amount.
Yeah.
I know it's well over half, and I've heard numbers as high as 85% of people file or plan to file at 62 early. Why do you think that is? Why do people feel they need to file early for Social Security? Is it because they all want to retire at that point and they want to file as soon as they retire? Or I think it's somewhat peer pressure. People just have done that. And my neighbor said, "Yeah, you got to file when you're 62."
Right.
And he heard it from his buddy at work, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly it, and I hear comments like that all the time when prospects, clients, folks come in, and it can be a couple different types of circumstances. It's not the same, right? It's situational.
Sure.
It
Yeah.
could be, hey, yeah, the neighbor's doing it, family members are doing it right away at 62, siblings are doing it right away, so that maybe jealousy or something kicks in. But I typically don't recommend to make decisions for yourself based off of that. But other examples could be health problems, right? Health starts to go down and it's getting harder to stand on your feet to work, or other circumstances in that area. Maybe it's a layoff. As we tend to get older in life, some companies just want those younger employees in there, whether it's to pay them lower wages or whatever the situation will be. Or another common one I hear about is you have to hang it up to be a caregiver for maybe your elderly parents or an aunt or uncle or
Sure.
or something in that circumstance.
Yeah, and there are some reasons that you definitely do want to file at 62 because you have to. Not
Yeah,
everybody retires early because they want to. Sometimes you're right. You named if you have a health condition or health problems or you're laid off. I mean, as you get older, you might be laid off once you hit your 60s, and then it's tough to find a new job or keep going. So you look, oh, maybe I need to retire or I need to file for Social Security now. Um, but you want to retire early because you want to, not because you have to, but life happens, is what
right.
you're saying. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and then that one I had never thought of was caregiving needs. I mean, I'm having
Yeah.
to really do a lot every weekend and even in the evenings for my parents now that they're both in long-term care.
Yeah.
So, caregiving for the elderly or family members is a reason some people might leave their job early. But still, a lot of people want to retire as early as 62. But again, there are drawbacks. And the first one you're talking about here is Social Security. The drawbacks to retiring earlier is you might have to take it before your full retirement age, and it's going to be greatly reduced. So
Correct.
that's really really important. And you don't want to have to self fund retire and start drawing out. Some people say, "Well, I can still let my Social Security roll up. I'll just start taking it out of my retirement accounts, like my 401k or 403b, TSP, whatever you have, through
Right.
your employer or an IRA." But that's not a good idea, is it? You're going to deplete that pretty quick if you start withdrawing right away.
Exactly. We spend most of our life in what we call the accumulation phase. So that's adding money to our retirement accounts or investment accounts, different strategies that get involved with that on the tax strategy side. But you spend your whole life doing that, building it up, and then you get to that point, which we call moving into the preservation or income phase. And if you're not supplementing that W-2 income that you were getting while you were working by signing up for Social Security, well, now you're using that money out of that nest egg that you spent your accumulation years growing, which then can limit legacy when you pass, can limit the opportunity for growth to make sure it lasts your full retirement. So there are definitely some cons by not taking Social Security right when you hang it up and are done working.
Right. That's a really good point. Now, another big area we're going to have to talk about here today, when what you need to know if you retire early. Healthcare is a big piece of the puzzle that
Huge.
a lot of people that plan on retiring early or want to retire early are not taking into consideration or adequately planning for healthcare costs. Right? And that's because Medicare doesn't start you can't access Medicare until 65, right?
That is correct. So Medicare is at age 65, which made sense when the full retirement age was at 65.
Yeah.
Now that it's pushed back to 67, still okay. But if you are collecting Social Security at 62, well, then you don't have your employer health insurance anymore because you're not working. So you have that gap in health insurance coverage until you go on to Medicare at 65. So if it's that 3 years, well, now you're paying out of pocket or trying to go on to the open market for health insurance, depending on what's going on with the current administration
So
or
you could
rules around that stuff.
Cobra, the
Cobra.
exchange or open market, Affordable Care Act, but you're gonna be paying out of pocket for healthcare insurance, and it is outrageously expensive and has gone up exponentially last year
Yes.
and going up exponentially in 2026. They say the increases, a lot of them they've been talking about will hit this year. Um, so it's not necessarily affordable for people to, uh, fill that gap, that medical coverage gap between their working years and when Medicare kicks in. And even
Yeah.
Medicare, even once Medicare kicks in, you still have premiums, co-pays, deductibles. You still have all those things and a
Yep.
lot of out-of-pocket costs. But at least Medicare, covers some of it, and while you're working, your employer is covering some of your health insurance costs. But in between those 2, your employer plan and Medicare, you're on your own, and even if you go through COBRA or the Affordable Care Act, it's gonna be outrageously expensive, isn't it?
For most situations, yes, and especially with if we have changes to what we call legislative risk or the changing policies out there.
Yeah.
But there are different strategies we can work around that. Right now, and this could change, right? But when you're on that open market, it's based off of income streams. So there are some strategies where we can use certain assets that aren't counted towards income tax. So that can help bring those premiums down. But when you think about drug prices and the cost of preventative care in general, like you mentioned, has been going up. And I think a really interesting, I always like to throw stats or numbers out there, but
Sure.
an article by Kiplinger titled "Need a Reason for Early Retirement? Consider these eye-opening stats." in there, they talk about what's called the U.S. Health Life Expectancy, or HALE for short,
Mm,
is about 63 years old, or almost 64 years old. And when we talk about life expectancy, we're always thinking our end date, right? Our death date. But what I think is interesting about this is that HALE, or that age of 64, is what the age is when you start to see your health start to
decline.
diminish and decline, and
Yeah.
you're not as healthy.
Yeah, the
So
age at which your health really starts to decline and more rapidly for the average person is 64. That's your healthy average life expectancy, HALE,
yes,
which is not how long you're going to live, but
correct.
at what point your body will start to give out and you'll start to have more major health problems. Like, we see hip replacement, we see cancer, we see other things, or dementia,
Oh, yeah.
issues creeping in, or joint issues. These types of things can really derail your plans. And so that plays into your decision on when to retire, right?
Yeah.
And it plays into how much healthcare is going to cost you.
Exactly, exactly. So making those decisions of when you collect Social Security can really come into impact, because if you do it right away at 62, well, now you have some supplemental income to pay for your expenses, and then you still have some assets that you could use to pay for those costs versus continuing to work until 65, 67, 70, because there can be some other setbacks that could happen to you while you keep working and not collect the Social Security.
Yeah, good point. And there's so much strategizing and moving parts when you start to think about, oh, I'm just going to retire early at 62. Nope, don't you? Can, it's not that easy. You need
Yep.
to have a plan. You want to make sure you don't get yourself or your loved ones or your spouse in a bad situation. And if you're married, that adds a whole new aspect of
Yes.
retiring early. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I have to go back. You said HALE, HALE,
Yes.
which is your health average life expectancy, or and I it just here's the problem with my mind is when you say Hale, I immediately think of Alan Hale, who played the skipper on
Okay.
Gilligan's Island.
Okay.
That was his last name, HALE. Alan Hale was the actor who played the skipper. Loved him growing up as a child. Why my mind goes there? We're talking about important finances for our listeners and viewers out there. And you say Hale, and I'm like, Alan Hale, the skipper.
That's one way to, I mean, it's one way to think about it.
Him taking off his hat and hitting Gilligan over the head. Gilligan. All right. Gilligan's Island. Now I'm really dating myself. Do you
Yeah.
remember Gilligan's Island?
You know,
Did you ever watch it?
I caught a few episodes when I was a youngin', but,
You're too young for Gilligan's Island.
yeah, of course I know of it and know the song, but,
Sure. Well, yeah, just sit right back and we'll hear a tale. Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna make you sing that for us next time we're
Okay.
together.
I'll
Maybe.
practice.
Are
I'll
you
make
going
sure
to
I'm
the
good.
Gradient Summit, by the way, the big financial conference coming up next month?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
I'll
I'll
be
see you
there.
there.
We'll see
Yeah,
you in
we'll
person.
get up on stage and sing the Gilligan's Island theme together.
Oh, can't
We'll
wait.
get Sue Bushka up there, and Cole and Kaylee. We'll get
The
the
whole
gang up
gang.
there. Kaylee will love that, by the way.
Oh, yeah. She'd be a big fan of that.
Yeah, getting up on stage in front of everybody, I think she'll enjoy it. No, I won't get any of you up there probably, but I'll try. That sounds like fun. So before we move on, let's take a moment to let our listeners out there know, and our viewers, how they can set up a no charge, no obligation consultation with you and the Bushka Wealth Management team to get a solid retirement income plan in place and to make sure you know when you can retire. Do I have to keep working another year, maybe another couple of years, so I can reach Medicare age? Or maybe I can retire right now. I'm only 60, but I have enough saved and there's a way to make it work. You won't know. You can't do what your neighbor says, or a
Right.
coworker or a family member. You've got to have your own personalized plan based on your goals, where you're at right now. Are you married? Where's your spouse at right now? So, in order to do that, you have to work with a trusted financial services professional. A fiduciary is going to look out for your best needs and put together that plan that will incorporate everything we're talking about, what you need to know to retire early, or when to retire, period. How can our listeners get that set up?
Yeah, give us a call, 715 355 4445, or reach us on our website. It's retirewithbushka.com. That's spelled BUSK, retirewithbushka.com. And you can set up our free consultation, no obligation, for any of the needs you have.
All right. Yeah. And again, it's retirewithbushka.com, and Bushka is spelled Buska. All right. Well, Logan, great show so far. Now, I alluded to it, and I don't know if it's even in your notes, but I know that one factor, if I wanted to retire early anyway, I'm telling you a big factor would be, what does my wife think of that? What is her plan for retirement? How does that fit in? And I know this is something you discuss with people when they come in. If they're a couple, a married couple, you always want to speak to both parties, both spouses, to make
Mhm.
sure everybody's on the same page with their finances and their retirement planning. Um, but that might make a difference in whether I can retire early. Does she work? Does my spouse work? Does she want to retire early? Does she want to wait? That makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of factors in there, and you touched on a few of them. But it's when you're a married couple, some people want to do it at the same time, right? Because then you go from the work life to now you have your retirement life, whether that's traveling, hobbies, spending more time with friends and family. But it always doesn't work out the perfect way. Maybe there's a age difference or whatnot. But sitting down with a financial services professional to look at this, for example, what we do is we run what's called a Social Security maximization report,
Yes.
because we want to look at what both benefits would be for each individual. But then we start to look into the next layer of the onion, which would be, is there spousal benefits? What would survivor benefits look like if one of the spouses passes away? um, Taking into account any gap in income that might be needed if a spouse passes away. So it's really looking at not just here's the age to take it and here's the amount you'll get. It's pulling in all those other factors that could impact each other, you, or the family itself.
Yeah, yeah. It really, you have to look at not only your own situation, like I can retire now because I can take a lump sum pension and that'll be great. What about your spouse? Is she going to need that pension later? Is it better if you take it as an income and spread it out and set it up so she gets some? Maybe you take a lower amount, but wait. There are so many variables, right?
So many.
In every aspect, variables with Social Security, variables with healthcare coverage, variables um, with your pension if you have one, if you're fortunate enough nowadays to have a pension.
Right.
You need to make the right decisions. And so don't decide on any of these things without getting a plan in place with a trusted financial professional. I'm
Yeah.
not going to name names, Logan Waller, but I know a guy who could really help you out.
Yeah, and I think not only we focus a lot on the financial side, but one thing we like to do, and I really like to do, is thinking about the emotional, the mental side of things too. Are we emotionally ready to hang that up? We spend most of our life getting up at the same time, or a similar time, going to work, coming back. So we get in these habits, these routines, and then it's just the next chapter of life. It's not, hey, I'm retiring, life's over. No, it's, hey, I'm retiring, now let's go enjoy that retirement, that added time. But some people are like, whoa, what do I do with this time now? Because to throw another number at you, being the math financial guy here, they say about 90,000 hours is what you spend working throughout your life. And that
Wow.
is a lot of time that you spent developing
Yeah.
those habits, and that just emotional relation to it, right? So it's thinking about that. So the logical, I like to call it, and the emotional side. But then when we go back to the numbers, looking at the numbers themselves, but what type of debts are there still too? And estimating if retirement expenses are going to go up. We talked about the health insurance needs, but what about needs for fixing up the house, a new vehicle, maybe grandkids or kids going to college? There's all these other factors that you want to work into the equation too when selecting when to get Social Security benefits.
Yeah, huge. I think that's great. Well, such a great topic, and there are so many aspects to this, Logan, that people need to think about don't make rash decisions when retiring early, or don't just retire early thinking this will work out.
Right.
Um, but it's true. If layoffs can happen, work is stressful. Maybe it is good that you retire early, but have a plan in place and knowing your numbers, managing your debt. Debt, if you have a lot of debt, that's another reason why you may not want to retire early and um, may want to work a couple more years, right, to get the debt paid off before you head into retirement.
Yeah, especially and when you look into the debt, it's what type of debt, right? We the goal is to always be debt free when you get into retirement, right?
Sure.
We want to have those expenses lower so we can work more strategies. But one of the or two debts I'm okay with, depending on where you live and all that. But in central Wisconsin, I'm okay with a mortgage or a auto loan, right? Because we need shelter, we need transportation. Now, if you lived in Chicago, New York, well, maybe we don't need the transportation part of it, but yeah, the goal is to not have those debts. But when you start to think about credit card debt or those more higher interest bearing type of debts, that's where
Yeah.
it's like let's keep working to get rid of that because it's not going to get any easier when you are going into retirement on a fixed budget.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I think you make a good point there. And there are positives and negatives. The pros is if your work is stressful, like you said, you can set that aside and you might be healthier. It
Yes.
might help your health to leave a bad job, right? That's important. And that's huge. There are many reasons that retiring early can be positive. More time to do what
Yeah.
you want. Maybe you can retire while you're still healthy, and get more things done and be more active. But again, it all comes down to the ability and do you have the money it takes? Do you have the plan in place that it takes? What are you going to do about healthcare before Medicare? What are you going to do about monthly income? Where is that money at? Are you going
Hmm.
to deplete those funds too early or take too much out of the stock market, and really cause problems there? You're going to need that money in there for compounding interest over the next 20 years. So you
Yeah.
have to have proper allocation and a plan, or it's not going to work, right?
Exactly, and that's where I really think it's valuable to sit down with a financial services professional like myself, because having those different options. I always tell clients we're looking at plan A right now, but as we all know, life happens, things come up. So we want to also plan for plan A, B, C, D, and so on, right? We want to look at the different scenarios and model them out, illustrate them out, and really try to identify if there's any as they say, holes in the ship as you sail off into that retirement, right? So uncovering those blind spots is another way to phrase it too.
Sure.
So just
Yeah.
making sure it's aligned with your goals, wants, needs, and interests.
Yeah. How about you, Logan? Planning on retiring anytime soon, or?
Not anytime soon. I got some working years ahead of me. I got some big goals that I am still chasing after and people to support and all that. So sadly, it's going to be a bit of time for me.
Yeah. Well, hey, as long as my voice holds out, I always say that, but I want to keep doing this. I want to keep doing the show with you each and every week.
Yeah, someone told me you have more of a face for radio, but now we're doing these podcasts, so I don't know how that. I'm kidding with you.
I have the perfect face for radio.
Me
Whereas,
too.
and I've told him this many times, Zach has the perfect voice for print. And I've said that. I've told him that.
Yeah. I'll
Yeah.
remind them. I'll remind
Yeah,
them.
please do. Thank you. All right. Well, hey, thanks, Logan. A great topic. What you need to know if you're retiring early, and to get those questions answered for your specific situation, and to get a plan in place. Give Bushkas a call. Give Logan a call. Go to 715-355-4445, or go to retirewithbushka.com. That's BUSKA.com. And that does it for today's episode of Financially Speaking with our host, Logan Waller.
Thanks, Tony.